So, I've been mainly buying up old games on sale that I either love or never got a chance to play. And there is no possible way I could regret a $3 purchase. Question: who here likes tall, sexy vamp boys? Not me! Well, except for that time I was in the True Blood for a bit, but we don't need to talk about that. Not that we need to, because Dishwasher Vampire Smile is not that type of vampire game. I'm not even fully sure if you even play as vampires, to be honest, which makes the long-winded name sound even more silly. Couldn't it be called just Dishwasher? Or Dishwasher 2, since it's apparently a sequel to another game? Oh, whatever. What is the Dishwasher Vampire Smile, and why did I buy it? Vampire Smile is a side-scrolling beat-em-up from Ska Studios, also known for games like Charlie Murder and Salt and Sanctuary. I bought this game because I played a demo of it back on the Xbox 360 years ago. I was trying to find things to buy for it to justify the purchase beyond just playing Call of Duty with my friends. And I was a pretty edgy teen, so when I saw a dark, brooding art style, I said, why the hell not? I ended up playing the crap out of that demo, which raises the question, why did I not buy it sooner? The main reason was there was always something I wanted to buy more than this game. But like, fast forward to now where I at least have spending cash and pretty inexpensive taste in games. I mean, last couple full price, brand new games I bought ended up pretty disappointing. So I've been mainly buying up old games on sale that I either love or never got a chance to play. And this came up. I believe I got it for around $3, so like once again, I thought, why the hell not? No way I could regret it. There is no possible way I could regret a $3 purchase. Well, I'm glad to say I did not regret it. Dishwasher Vampire Smile is an enjoyable enough game, with fast-paced combat, a decent challenge, and just enough combat depth to make getting good at it a fun process. The best way I can describe this game is that it's 2D Devil May Cry, slightly mixed with God of War. The mix of sword and gun combat, items, and sustaining yourself in mid-air all reminds me of Devil May Cry, specifically the first one. And the tone of this game very much mirrors that as well. Combat elements like finisher moves and magic spells remind me of God of War. Combat is pretty straightforward. You got light and heavy attacks, grabs, weapon switching, force spells, machine guns, and a shotgun. Oh, and there's one more thing. You got probably the most spammable teleport in any game ever. At any point, you can just hold your right analog stick in any direction and you will teleport there. And there's no cooldown between teleports, so really, you could just hold the analog stick and go anywhere. This is literally my main mode of travel in this game. Hopefully now you're starting to see why this game is kind of fun. It's just a game that's easy to pick up and play. But it isn't as button mashy or broken as you'd think. There's a reason they give you infinite teleporting. You're going to need to make good use of it. Enemies do not play around. Sure, zombies and drones are easy enough, you just go up and... But the rest of the enemies are either very nimble or very big. With the more nimble enemies, the name of the game is juggling. Get them in the air and keep them there until they're dead. Last thing you want is to get surrounded. As Wu-Tang Clan once said, guard your throat. The optimal ways of doing this is to just go up and grab them, which can be easier said than done, as a lot of the enemies can be slippery bastards. Or sword dropping on most enemies, which is what I found works best, and then comboing that into a grab and going from there. There's a couple combos you can start with that. Like sword drop, grab, slash machine gun to keep them from touching the ground, and then teleport grab. Or there is drop, grab, slash them into the air, and then finish them with either another grab or a shotgun blast. If you do the grab in the air and that doesn't kill them, it usually bounces them into the air long enough for you to finish them with a slash combo or another shotgun blast. There are some enemies that do make airdropping a not so easy process. There's two in particular. One that constantly teleports above you trying to do an airdrop of their own. Even if you teleport above them and try to counter, you have to be pretty fast or else they'll teleport away. What I found is that it's easier just to go for a straight grab with these enemies. The other enemy that makes it hard to airdrop are these trenchcoat guys that will yank you out of the air, forcing you to fight them on the ground. With all that said, I'm not saying this like it's a bad thing. Actually, I like it. It gives variety to the combat and doesn't allow you to just spam the same tactic for the whole game. Speaking of which, I really enjoyed the drone spawning robots. Not because they themselves are hard to take out, just because they force you to prioritize them before they can spawn more enemies. Enemies like the pumpkin heads are almost impossible to attack from the side unless staggered, making airdrop a necessity for them. Even then, it can still be a bit tricky as they often dash from side to side. Either way, the more you keep enemies in the air, the more control you have in combat. For bigger enemies you can't juggle like the skeleton samurais or the shark tanks, you just have to get good at dodging and being able to do as much damage as quickly as possible. I find what works best for this is drop slashing them when they are on the ground, teleporting up, and then shotgun blasting them, maybe throwing in a couple slashes if I can. The main trouble with enemies like this are that when they jump in the air, they cause impact when they land, and if you are anywhere near them when they do so, you will take massive damage. Another trick these bigger enemies use is heat-seeking rockets, but at most they're just annoying. They're not hard to dodge. More of a nuisance than anything. When it comes to the standard smaller enemies, there are a decent variety among them. Some will jump in the air and throw kunais at you, or drop bombs. One of them is melee focused, and another one is gun focused. But you could take most of them out in the same way. Knock them off their feet, and if you ever get in trouble, you can use one of your spells. And higher difficulties do encourage smart use of them. The first one is a shock spell that chains from enemy to enemy. The second sends a wave of knives forward. The third one lifts all enemies into the air, and the last one summons a cross that gives health back. The wave of knives and the cross are easily the best spells. The first because it does the most damage and can easily destroy tougher enemies like the pumpkin heads. The cross because it's a free heal. There's two other ways to heal, items, and you can also get health back from enemies, but neither of these are ideal. Sure, items can get you out of a jam, but they cost money you could be spending on upgrading your character's weapons, health, and magic. Plus, if you use one on a fight and then die, you do not get it back when you go back to the checkpoint. So, it ends up just being a waste of money altogether. This is a system in Devil May Cry as well, and I've never liked it. Like, if I die in a fight, I should get all the resources I spent in that fight back. When it comes to getting health off of enemies, it's really inconsistent. It's not based off of doing any type of finisher like God of War, or Doom Eternal, or any specific action. It's just at random, which sucks to be honest, because a lot of boss fights have fodder to kill, but whether or not you get health back from this fodder is completely by chance, and it makes the abundancy of these extra enemies really annoying. Listen, I only really mind fodder during a boss fight if they can be used to build up a special or refill some sort of crucial resource that is needed. It seems like the system here is random health drops that give you significant health back, whereas instead it probably should have been smaller but more consistent health drops. Or tie health drops is something the player can consistently execute when they need health. And now that I'm complaining, I might as well get into the other issues I have with this game. Your character sticks to walls way too easily. Now, this isn't a huge problem, it just makes it tricky to attack enemies when they're near walls, and you might accidentally stick to one when you don't intend to. What is a bigger problem for me, though, is that the weapon lineup, it kinda sucks. I kid you not when I say the starting sword for both of the characters is the best weapon in the game. It's fast, has decent reach, especially with a drop attack, and weapon switching mid-combo isn't really a thing you can do in this game, so you have no reason to. And every other weapon has some sort of shortcoming. The Cloud Sword, which is its actual name, I'm not just being a lazy shit here. It is a bit longer, but you can't grab enemies, which I've explained before, is your most important move in this game, and its charge attack is not very reliable. The kamikaze is fast, but too short and misses if you are not touching penises with the enemy. The giant syringe was okay, but again, you can't grab enemies with it. So at best, it's just good if you want something that does a little bit more damage, has a little bit more extra reach, and that isn't completely useless like the other weapons. And this is a problem with both characters. Yes, you have the option to play two different characters, the prisoner and the dishwasher. And the dishwasher gets the sword, dual meat cleavers, a giant hammer, a giant pair of scissors that breaks apart into two swords, which ain't gonna lie, that's pretty awesome. And whatever the fuck this thing is. It looks like a squirt gun. It literally looks like a super soaker. And it's shit. It's the worst weapon in the game. Still, doesn't matter which character you choose, the sword is the best weapon you have. With the scissors coming in second just because they really are a cool concept and for no other reason than that. They also don't have different spells, which leads to a problem that playing these two characters feels mostly the same. I guess you could say it's my fault for not getting more into the other weapons, but the default sword really is the best weapon, and the game doesn't really encourage you to use anything but the sword. So that's not my fault, that's the fault of the game for not giving more gameplay incentives to use different weapons. Still, the differences between these characters are mostly minimal. The main one being the drop attack with the sword is different between the two characters. The dishwasher has a slightly faster drop attack, mainly because he uses a sword, unlike the prisoner, who has a bit of a delay because they use their chainsaw arm. He can also primary Lotus motherfuckers with an efficiency that would make Guy Sensei proud. So for those reasons alone, he is the better character. But mostly it really doesn't make a difference. Their weapons are functionally the same, they have the same spells, the same campaigns, which does lead me into the story. And yeah, I really couldn't tell you what happened in this story. I was kind of zoned out for this game's narrative. The most I picked up was that the planet was destroyed by the dishwasher, the prisoner whose real name is Yuki was blamed for it, they are step-siblings, and the planet, I guess, is run by some sort of megacorp. Also, Yuki has been brainwashed into wanting to kill the dishwasher. There's also something about an evil mask. Don't take it seriously. I didn't, you shouldn't. It's not that type of story you take seriously. Beyond those problems, the game has a pretty inconsistent tone. Well, kind of. It is as inconsistent as a Devil May Cry game, which in its own way gives it a sense of consistency if that's what the intent here was, but assuming it's not, then this game doesn't know if it wants to be dark and edgy or over the top and whimsical. It's a game where you go from having horror-themed flashbacks to spin-slamming dudes to the ground. From a narrative about what seems to be an anti-capitalist or anti-corporatist plot to fighting a hockey goalie as a boss, or an 8-bit game sequence. It's a game that goes from excessive violence to you playing a guitar solo in the middle of nowhere. See, tonally, this game is just all over the place, but since I brought up the goalie fight, let's talk about the boss fights, because they are very hit or miss for me. Not that there were any I really hated, but there were plenty that were very boring. I think the only bosses I enjoyed were the goalie, because how often do you get to fight a hockey goalie as a boss? Squidface, because He was just really a well-designed boss fight that kicked my ass, and probably one of the better uses of add-ons in a fight. And the second last boss, because again, I just think he's well-designed. He's based around punishing you for spam dodging and sitting up in the air. And I like the close personal nature of the fight. The rest were either okay at best or boring at worst. There are 5 difficulty modes in this game: Pretty Princess, Normal, Ninja, Master, and Speedrun. Highest I have played so far is Ninja, and it was decently well balanced. Will I play the higher difficulties? Probably not, but if I did, what I like is that I can carry all my character's progress over to the new difficulty. Again, staying in line with this being a 2D Devil May Cry game essentially. Another cool feature is co-op, which really is just a bonus at this point. I guess the only thing I haven't really talked about in detail yet is the presentation of it all, and I really don't got much to say. I think the art style is neat, but I don't love it. Character and enemy designs are cool, but I think the backgrounds are very boring and all bleed into each other. And I don't know if that's even a problem with the art style, as Salt and Sanctuary has the same art style, and I did not find this problem when I played that game. Areas were clearly distinct in Salt and Sanctuary. What really gets in the way of me enjoying the presentation of this game is, 1, the music is very forgettable. I mean, it gets the job done, but not much else. And 2, all the screen effects that take up the screen. Also, things blur when you do finishers, and there are plenty of times when all this adds up to make the screen barely visible at all. I mean, look at this. This is just visual diarrhea. It's actually really ugly when it gets like this. Not a game ruiner, mind you, it's just obnoxious. But you want to know what isn't obnoxious? Is the price. Even at full price, it's a pretty cheap game with a decent replay value to it. A campaign that doesn't overstay its welcome, and you can play it with friends. There's also arcade and challenge modes that I barely touched, but they're there if you want to delve into them. So ultimately, I would say the money was well spent. I do not regret this purchase. And if you ever see this game on sale and you like side scrollers and beat 'em ups, I say give this a try. It's just fun enough to be worth playing. If you like this video, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, you know, all the good stuff that helps a channel like mine grow. And if you played this game before, what did you think of it? Till then, I am Digital Shinigami. I'm gonna go play in traffic now. I'll see you all later.